Felicity Blackmore from Christchurch International Airport Limited.
Good afternoon. Thank you for your time this afternoon to hear our submission. My name is Nick Flack. I'm General Manager of Planning and Sustainability at the airport. And this is Felicity Blackmore, Head of Planning at the airport.
So thank you for taking the time to hear us today, and I'll take our submission as read and stick to a few key points. Firstly, it's recognition of airport authorities as non-rateable land under the Local Government Act, and this reflects the role that airports provide in the wider transport network and the services we provide with respect to being a strategic asset. Generally, strategic assets should be treated differently as per our status under the Local Government Rating Act. The services we currently provide on our airport land holdings are we own, we install, we operate and we maintain our own land drainage and water supply network. This includes managing a complex network of resource consents, managing under these and managing our compliance with them. We manage our own wastewater network within the airport campus, and we have 2 connections to the Christchurch City Council network. We provide our own waste management services, including a waste minimisation aspect. We believe that the targeted rates proposal does not consider or recognise the airport as our non-rateable land, our role of the airport as a strategic asset, or the current provision for the 3 waters that we provide ourselves, or the waste collection that we provide. Essentially, the targeted rate proposal results with the airport paying twice for some of these services, which puts an unnecessary burden on the airport. We believe that there is a strong and compelling case for setting targeted rates in a differential way for strategic asset providers and or airport authorities. For a bit more detail, in the land drainage space, the airport owns $9 million worth of stormwater assets. We spend approximately $100,000 a year to maintain and operate these assets and to comply with our very complex stormwater discharge consent framework. We take the burden off the Christchurch City Council by managing this private infrastructure network ourselves. We understand the rationale that is being applied to the land drainage targeted rate, and that everyone should contribute because we all benefit from the wider City Council's network. However, we disagree with the way it's currently drafted, as it results with a disproportionate burden onto strategic asset providers and asset providers such as us who have such a large private network. We've outlined our relief in our submission. However, in the event that this is not accepted, it's our expectation that the City Council would take over ownership, operation and management of our current network and would operate this network to meet our resource consent requirements, or to amend the City Council's global resource consent to incorporate discharges from the airport land holdings. In the water supply space, the targeted rates proposal identifies that some of the airport's land holdings fall within the definition of a serviceable area, but similar to land drainage, we take the burden off the City Council and we operate our own private water supply network. So everyone on campus, we supply all of their water. We recently spent in excess of $5 million upgrading our potable water supply network to provide water treatment plants to meet the new drinking water standards. We are world leading in the type of water treatment plants that we have installed on the airport campus, and we strongly oppose being captured under the current serviced area definition, as we do not currently and will not in the future receive any benefit from the Christchurch City Council water supply. Waste management. In the targeted rates proposal, CIL land holdings currently sit entirely within the curbside collection area and within the targeted rate. However, similar to the other services, CIL operations in our terminal and majority of our tenants do not access curbside waste collection now or plan to in the future. And previously we understood that areas of our campus were not actually able to receive curbside collection, with this being Dakota Park and our warehouse and distribution centre. We don't obtain any benefit generally from curbside collection across the city, and as with our land drainage and water supply, the council obtains a benefit from our private management of waste. We and our tenants bear the cost of this private waste management and minimisation program rather than imposing the costs on the council systems. Applying the waste minimisation target to all of CIL land holdings is disproportionate. It amounts to double charging where CIL already contracts separately for waste management services, including waste minimisation. Wastewater, which is slightly different, we provide our own network within our land holdings. However, we do have 2 connection points to the City Council's network, and this is a shared service. We pay for managing our own network, but we understand and acknowledge that the Council pays for that network and pays for the treatment of that. Therefore, we see this as a great example as where differential rates should apply to reflect the cost-sharing benefit. So I guess in summary, it's important to recognise the Airport Authority's status under the Local Government Act as non-rateable and our role as a strategic asset provider. The targeted rates proposal does not reflect this and puts significant burden onto Christchurch Airport in paying for these services twice. And we believe there's a strong case for differential rating. And lastly, very quickly, we strongly support the provision for a safe and efficient cycleway to the airport. We understand, and we've been involved in the proposal for the wings to wheel cycleway. We are not confident that the wings aspect of the wings to wheel cycleway has been appropriately involved in this process, and we are also not convinced that the current design and location will actually service the airport in the way that it needs to. Feedback from the airport staff and from our wider tenant basis is that the current route would not be used by a lot of people because it doesn't provide for the efficient aspect. We strongly believe, and feedback from a lot of our tenants was that Memorial Ave is the appropriate place to provide for a safe and efficient cycle network to reach the airport. And this is to reflect that people who are riding a bike as a method of transport, whether it be an e-bike or a normal bike, they are looking for the most efficient and safe route, and it's important that those 2 factors are considered. The current Wings to Wheel Cycleway proposal doesn't capture the southeastern section of the city and means that a lot of cyclists will have to bike a considerably longer distance to get to a safe cycling route, which would be a deterrent for a lot of cyclists. So we support and recognise that there is a really strong need for a cycleway out to the airport, and feedback from all of our tenants is part of trying to meet the Climate Commission's advice and trying to reduce carbon emissions is to encourage people to ride bikes instead of hopping in single occupancy cars. But to make that successful, it's got to be a cycleway that is safe and efficient, because it takes longer to ride your bike somewhere and it takes more of your own energy. So we would, if in the event that the Wings to Wheel Cycleway comes up to be re-looked at, we would really like to be involved in that process, and we're also at the same time doing a large piece of work with our wider tenant base and campus to understand what the needs are in this space. So we welcome engagement on that.
I'm going to have to cut that off because that's a separate consultation, but I think there was merit in everyone hearing that. So thank you very much for the presentation. I think we're going to have to also sort of link in with staff on the broader issue that you've raised, which we were certainly expecting the airport company to raise. So thank you very much for a very in-depth submission. Thank you.
Cool. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Esther Valero.